Good morning and welcome to Chapter 24 Review, the Progressive Era. Over the next 10-15 minutes, I hope to be able to help you out, giving you an overview of Chapter 24, the Progressive Era, with the reformers and the response by the federal government. But my big recommendation, besides going over your class notes and your Tyndall annotation, please make sure that you have your list of Progressive Era reformers and you're able to quickly identify what area of reform, any methods they use to achieve reform, and any major pieces of literature or whatnot they were responsible for, of course, writing and implementing and affecting the federal government. Real quickly, our definition of progressive era or progressivism is, of course, a major response to the industrial revolution of the Gilded Age and the rapid urbanization that took place as a result of the Industrial Revolution. So the Progressive Era reformers, their main goal is to correct the evils or the societal ills from the Gilded Age. Again, major difference between our progressives and our populists. Populists from the Gilded Age are farmers, poor, could not organize and spread the message of reform. But your progressives, circa 1901 to 1920, they enjoyed the support from not just the farmers, obviously, but industrial workers, middle-class whites, old wealth, and most importantly, the muckrakers or the writers. So you don't have a whole lot of poor or immigrant groups running or minorities running the Progressive Era. It's mainly a push from the wealthy, middle class, and well-educated reformers that are sort of leading the way. Remember areas that reformers are trying to clean up: corrupt government. They're going after the big monopolies. They're going after societal reforms, making society healthier, more democratic. Efficiency was another theme of the time period. You read early on in Chapter 24 about Frederick Taylor with his scientific management on how to run businesses more more efficiently. So he works on models of efficiency in the workplace. And that was another theme. Robert La Follette, for those of you that had him as the reformers, he's taken that idea of efficiency and the scientific aspect of how to be efficient and implementing that towards the government. So he was going to use the state of Wisconsin as his platform for efficient government. And then he takes that obviously to the federal level with a multitude of reforms of direct primaries and 17th Amendment and things that we'll discuss a little bit later on. But I would say definitely leading the charge for our progressive reform was our muckrakers, and those are those investigative journalists who, of course, expose the corruption of government or big business and trying to make life better. A couple of people that definitely need to remember: Lincoln Steffens, exposing corruption of government and shame of our cities of St. Louis. Ida Tarbell and Henry Lloyd are going after Standard Oil. I think Lloyd writes Wealth Against the Commonwealth. That was trying to take down the Standard Oil Trust. Jacob Riis from Denmark writes or publishes How the Other Half Lives, exposing the poor living conditions of New York, and Roosevelt says he is our greatest citizen of New York. And obviously Upton Sinclair's Jungle exposes the horrific conditions of the Chicago meatpacking industry. Those are some of our main muckrakers. And again, make sure you study your guys and ladies from the Progressive Era presentations. I want to kind of start with our federal approach. Starting with Roosevelt, 1901 to 1909, he was a Republican, and he sort of had his hands in many different areas as far as going after big business. Now in 1912, he's going to have his new nationalism will be his campaign slogan, where he's trying to go balance big business, kind of going after them. He knows that they are important, all right? And so your book calls it like a Hamiltonian means to achieve a Jeffersonian ends. Well, Hamiltonian means he's in favor of big business, but he wants to level the playing surface, if you will. So he takes a stance against big business. Remember that cartoon, good trust and bad trust. Good trust were trust that Roosevelt regulated, and they went along with his regulations, and bad trust were trusts that did not go along with his regulations, so he used the Sherman Antitrust Act to break them down. Elkins Act and Hepburn Act were two examples of federal legislation passed under Roosevelt. Elkins Act outlawed rebates, and Hepburn Act allowed the ICC, Interstate Commerce Commission, to force railroads to change their rates. He also took a stance against big business, being the arbiter of the coal strike in 1902. So he went against big business. He did not... Joe, you okay?
Yeah, but what?
All right. So he goes against the big business in the 1902 coal strike, where he did not like the approach of the United Mine owners, and he listened to the workers' side, he listened to the owners' side, and he strictly he regulated that, and kind of became the arbiter, and he got involved. So that's showing his stance. He was not afraid to go after big business, and sort of etched in his reputation as the square deal president, and where both sides gets a little bit what they want and have to give up a little bit. Against consumer protection, again, after reading The Jungle in 1906, Meat Inspection Act, Pure Food and Drug Act were passed to make sure the federal government will inspect everything that we ingest. And as a result of Pinchot and Muir, the Forest Reserve Act was passed, where it set aside about 150 to 170 million acres of land to set aside for parks and rec. Literally, Theodore Roosevelt set those aside. He's a champion in the areas of conservation. Appoints Chief Forester Gifford Pinchot, and he heads this new National Forestry Administration. After his 2 terms as president in 1908, presidential election year, Roosevelt handpicks his successor, Taft, to be his Republican candidate. Remember, Taft really just wants to be the Supreme Court justice, which he'll later get circa 1920-ish. But Roosevelt, handpicks him, and Taft becomes the 27th president, 1909 to 1913, Republican, and Taft's policies really are implemented as Republican policies, but he is handpicked by a progressive Republican, Roosevelt, and so he comes into a hailstorm of controversy where he actually angers his own party. One of the things he does is he proposes a lower tariff, which of course Republicans would be pro-business. They don't want a low tariff, they want a high protective tariff. Well, the progressive Republicans, they want a very, very low tariff. And so he kind of, the Payne-Aldrich tariff gets passed, which is it does lower the tariff, which of course angers Republicans, doesn't lower it enough, which of course infuriates progressive Republicans, and Taft is, of course, in the middle. And he will then sort of get the reputation of being anti-big business and anti-progressive. So he's creating a problem in his own party. Another major controversy he had was when he fired Gifford Pinchot the head of the forestry, because Taft's Secretary of the Interior, Dick Ballinger, was using conserved land for private use, private consumption. And when Pinchot complains to Taft, he of course immediately fires Pinchot for, of course, questioning the authority of the President of the United States. And that, of course, will lead us to the 1912 election, which, of course, is a four-horse race with Wilson, Taft, Roosevelt, and a guy by the name of Eugene Victor Debs, our favorite socialist. Now, Wilson, with his New Freedom campaign slogan, is Democrat, going after big business. That's his major area of reform, going after the trusts and the monopolies. Roosevelt and Taft, well, they're both Republicans, and they're gonna find out what a lot of parties that run two people are realize that you can't win. So Taft will be the Republican candidate. Roosevelt will be the new Progressive Party candidate, nicknamed the Bull Moose Party, and they're actually going to split each other's votes. And Debs is getting he's getting the socialist platform of, government really needs to take over more big business, and America's really not ready for that approach yet. They'll get that in 2008. But the Democratic candidate, Wilson, will, of course, become our 28th president, Democrat, 1913 to 1921. That is the end of part one. Hope you look forward to part two's review.